The sound of the slap exploded through the police station's lobby, sharp, violent, final. Sarah Johnson's head jerked sideways, a vivid red mark already blooming across her cheek. She didn't move. Didn't raise a hand. The silence that followed was louder than the slap itself. Officer Mike Torres stood over her, chest heaving, his eyes wild with anger. "Get out of my station, you black." The word died halfway through, but its poison lingered in the air. Every officer froze mid-step. Phones hovered above desks. Even the hum of the fluorescent lights seemed to pause. Sarah slowly turned her face back toward him. Her brown eyes met Torres's glare, calm, unshaken, terrifying in their stillness. "I need to see the mayor," she said, her voice steady as stone. Torres let out a jagged laugh, sharp as broken glass. "The mayor doesn't meet with trash off the street." Security. Two guards stepped forward, hands drifting toward their batons. Sarah didn't flinch. With a deliberate, almost regal motion, she reached into her jacket pocket. "Officer Torres," she said, each word measured. "I am your new police chief." The sentence fell like a blade between them. Above their heads, the security camera's red light blinked, recording every second. Torres blinked, then barked out another laugh. "Police chief? You? Don't make me." He doubled over, slapping his knee as if the joke was too much to bear. Laughter spread through the lobby, nervous and ugly. Only one person didn't laugh, Officer Amy Parker by the water fountain. Her face had gone pale, her hand frozen mid-sip. Torres pointed at Sarah. "Look at this monkey. Think she can waltz in here with fake papers?" Sarah reached again into her jacket and pulled out an official document. The gold city seal shimmered under the lights. "My appointment letter," she said calmly. "Signed yesterday by Mayor Richardson." Torres snatched it from her grasp, his eyes scanning the page. Slowly, the grin on his face curdled into something darker. He tore the paper in half. Then quarters. Then eighths. The pieces drifted to the floor like dead butterflies. "Nice try with the forgery," he sneered. Amy Parker's hand trembled as she lifted her phone, quietly recording. Her thumb hovered over the screen. Sarah's tone didn't waver. "That was an official document, Officer Torres. You just committed a federal offense." "Federal offense," he growled, stepping close enough for her to smell his stale coffee breath. "You know what's an offense? Some lying piece of ghetto trash pretending she belongs here." On the desk behind him, the duty roster lay open, mismatched shifts, gaps that didn't make sense, numbers that didn't add up. "Johnson. Martinez." Torres barked, his rage shaking the walls. "Drag this woman out. If she resists, use force." The guards hesitated. Something in Sarah's stillness unnerved them. "Move your asses," Torres roared. Then came the sound of footsteps from the stairwell, slow, deliberate, confident. Expensive shoes on worn linoleum. Mayor Richardson appeared at the top of the stairs, silver hair catching the harsh light. Two city councilmen followed behind him like shadows. The laughter died instantly. Uniforms straightened. Faces turned pale. "Mayor Richardson," Torres stammered, his voice cracking. "Sir, this woman was causing a disturbance. Claims to be Chief Sarah Johnson." "I see you've already met some of your staff," the mayor interrupted, his voice cool as winter. Silence dropped over the room like a shroud. Amy Parker's phone captured everything. Torres's knees wobbled. Sweat gathered on his forehead. "Sir, she didn't, nobody told me." "Apparently not," the mayor replied. "Chief Johnson, I apologize for this reception." Sarah brushed bits of torn paper from her jacket. "No need, Mayor Richardson," she said softly. "This has been quite educational." "Educational?" Torres's voice cracked. "Yes," she answered, her gaze sweeping the room. "I've just learned what kind of department I'm inheriting." The security camera blinked overhead. The duty roster pages fluttered in the air conditioning. Torres's world began to crumble, 1 second at a time. From the balcony above, a new figure appeared, Robert Hayes, Director of Internal Affairs. His face had gone pale as chalk. The real investigation hadn't even begun. The mayor's words fell like a verdict. "This is Police Chief Sarah Johnson, your new commanding officer." Torres's legs buckled. He hit the floor hard, the sound echoing like judgment. "No, no, no, no." He crawled forward on his hands and knees, tears mixing with sweat. "Chief Johnson, please. I didn't know. I have a family." "Stand up," Sarah said, her voice like ice. "You're embarrassing yourself." But he couldn't. His body trembled, 20 years of arrogance collapsing in 20 seconds. "I want to see the security footage," Sarah ordered. Amy Parker moved quickly to the computer, fingers flying over the keys. The monitor flickered to life, showing multiple camera angles from the lobby. "Go back 1 week," Sarah said. The footage rewound, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Each day showed the same horrifying pattern. A black woman stepping up to the desk. Torres yelling, security dragging her out. An elderly black man with a cane. Torres shoving him until he fell. A teenager asking about his father's arrest. Torres slamming him against the wall. 5 incidents. 5 victims. All black. Gasps filled the lobby. Officers who'd been laughing minutes ago now backed away from Torres like he carried a disease. "Jesus Christ," someone whispered. Amy's face had turned pale green. "Every single one was from the Market District," she murmured. Sarah's eyes never left the screen. "Pull up the duty roster," she said. Amy typed quickly. The schedule appeared, riddled with gaps and ghost shifts. Torres's name appeared again and again, on days he wasn't supposed to work. "You've been hunting," Sarah said quietly. "Haven't you?" Torres rocked on his knees, muttering prayers that went nowhere. Then footsteps thundered down the stairs. A man in a sweat-stained shirt burst into the lobby, Robert Hayes, Director of Internal Affairs. His badge swung from his neck. "Chief Johnson," he panted, forcing a smile. "Perhaps we should discuss this privately. My office, away from all these cameras." His eyes darted from Amy's phone to the security monitors, to the witnesses. Calculating. Desperate. Sarah turned to him slowly. "Director Hayes," she said, her tone sharp as glass. "How interesting that you're here. I heard there was a misunderstanding." Hayes tugged at his collar. "These things happen. First days are always rough." "Misunderstanding?" Sarah's voice rose. "Is that what we're calling assault now?" Hayes took a step closer, lowering his voice. "Chief, you don't understand how things work here. There are arrangements. Understandings. 20 years of what exactly?" Sarah asked. The question hung between them like a noose. Hayes's Adam's apple bobbed. "Nothing. I meant nothing." But his eyes betrayed him. They flicked to Torres, to the duty roster, to the exit. The eyes of a man drowning in his own secrets. Sarah smiled, for the first time. But it wasn't a kind smile. "Director Hayes," she said evenly, "I'm declaring a full departmental lockdown. Effective immediately. No one leaves until I get answers." The camera above blinked red, capturing everything. "Lock it down," Sarah commanded. Her voice cut through the chaos like a blade. "Every door. Every window. Nobody leaves." Officers scrambled. The metallic clank of bolts echoed through the halls. Torres still knelt on the floor, a broken puppet with cut strings. 48 hours, Sarah announced. "That's what we have. A full investigation. Every file, every record, every dirty secret in this building." Hayes's phone buzzed frantically, text after text flashing across the screen. His hand twitched toward it. "Problem with your phone, Director?" Sarah asked. "No, Chief. Just the family. Then they can wait. She turned to Amy. Officer Parker, bring me the duty rosters. All of them. 6 months back. Amy hesitated, fear flickered in her eyes, but beneath it, something else, hope. She nodded and hurried away. Sarah walked over to Torres's desk. The duty roster still lay open, ink fresh on today's entries. She ran a finger down the column. Interesting, she murmured. You worked 16 shifts last week, but you were only scheduled for 5. Torres's phone buzzed where it had fallen to the floor, messages flooding in. Ghost shifts, Sarah continued. Let me guess, clock in when the market opens, clock out when it closes. Am I close? Hayes stepped forward. Chief Johnson, these are serious accusations. Without proper evidence? Sarah finished for him, smiling coldly. Director Hayes, in my experience, men who run clean departments don't sweat through their shirts. At 8 a.m., the stain on his chest had spread to his jacket. Dark circles under his arms. Fear leaking through fabric. Amy returned, arms full of rosters. She set them down carefully, her hands shaking. Chief, she said, there's something else. Something I need to. Not here, Hayes snapped. Officer Parker, remember your position. But Amy's voice didn't stop this time. The dam had broken. I've seen things, she said. Recorded things. Torres taking envelopes. Hayes signing reports that didn't make sense. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. You little, Torres growled from the floor, but Sarah's voice sliced through his words. Officer Parker, she said gently, do you have proof? Amy nodded, pulling out her phone. Videos. Photos. 2 years' worth. I was too scared to report it because internal affairs was compromised, Sarah finished for her. Hayes's face drained of color. His lips trembled. This is a witch hunt, he spat. 20 years I've served this department. 20 years of what? Sarah pressed, stepping closer. Finish the sentence. But Hayes stayed silent. His phone kept buzzing in his pocket, the vibrations like angry wasps. Sarah turned toward the gathered officers. IT department, she called out. I want every camera file from the last 6 months. Financial division, every overtime report. And someone get me coffee. It's going to be a long 48 hours. The command broke the paralysis. Officers moved, purpose replacing fear. The spell of the old regime had started to crack. You're destroying everything, Hayes whispered. You don't know what you're doing. I know exactly what I'm doing, Sarah replied. I'm turning on the lights, and we're going to see what's been hiding in the dark. Torres's phone buzzed one last time. The message flashed briefly on the screen before going black, asterisk get out now. They know, asterisk. They. Who were they, and what exactly did they know? The IT room became Sarah's war room. 6 hours into the lockdown, she sat surrounded by glowing monitors. Marcus, the department's IT specialist, adjusted his glasses, scrolling through endless footage. Chief, he said quietly. You need to see this. The screen showed a pattern repeating again and again. A black woman approaching the front desk. Torres rising, shouting. The woman fleeing. Next clip, a man with groceries. Torres grabbing his baton. The man running. Every single incident, Marcus whispered. Always between 8 a.m. and noon. Pull up the market schedule, Sarah said. The correlation was perfect. Every act of violence matched the market day. He was hunting vendors, Amy said softly from the doorway. He knew they couldn't fight back. They needed permits, couldn't afford lawyers, easy prey. 12 hours into the lockdown, Amy finally spoke again, voice shaking. 2 years ago, I filmed this. The video was grainy but clear, Torres accepting a thick envelope from a terrified shopkeeper, cash glinting as he counted. And on the stairs behind him, Hayes watching, silent and satisfied. Why didn't you report it? Sarah asked gently. Amy gave a bitter laugh. Report it to Internal Affairs? Hayes is Internal Affairs. She swiped through her phone, showing dozens of clips, envelopes, money changing hands, the same pattern of extortion repeated for years. By dawn of the second day, Sarah had enough evidence to sink them all. But she wanted the truth buried deepest. The bolt cutters arrived mid-morning. Officers gathered as Sarah stood before Torres's locker. Open it, she said. The lock snapped with a metallic crack. Inside, spare uniforms, a bottle of deodorant, and a small leather journal. Sarah flipped through it, reading aloud. Chin's Grocery, $500 monthly. Martinez Produce, $300. Washington's Fish, $600. Page after page. Names. Amounts. Hundreds of victims. Tens of thousands of dollars. Then she saw something that made the room gasp. Every entry had 2 signatures. Sarah held up a page. Torres and Hayes. 50-50 split. Amy's eyes widened. That's over $30,000 a month. Just from the market vendors. By that afternoon, the accounting software revealed a bigger monster. Marcus called her over, voice tight. Chief, it's not just extortion. On his screen bloomed a tangle of transactions, ghost shifts, false overtime, fabricated pay. $10 million, he said. Over 5 years. A massive theft, hidden in plain sight. Through the glass wall, Hayes sat at his computer, clicking frantically, deleting files, sweat dripping from his temples. He's destroying evidence, Amy said. Sarah's cold smile returned. Marcus, tell me we have backups. 3 servers worth, Marcus replied. He can delete until his fingers bleed. We've got everything. The second night brought unexpected allies. Officers who had kept silent for years began to talk. The conference room overflowed with testimonies. You paid in, or you suffered, said one veteran cop. You got the worst shifts. No backup when you needed it. No promotions. Another voice joined in. Remember Officer Martinez? The accident? He waited 30 minutes for help that never came. Sarah stood before a wall now covered in notes, photos, timelines, the web of corruption spreading like rot through the entire department. 10 officers. 5 administrators. 2 city councilmen. The cancer had roots everywhere. At dawn on the 3rd day, an old janitor named William knocked softly on Sarah's door. He'd been cleaning these halls for 15 years. I see things, he said simply. I hear things. And I save things. From his pocket, he produced a small flash drive. Security footage, he explained. The kind they thought was deleted. But I keep everything. Never know when truth might be needed. Sarah plugged it in. The first file made her blood run cold, Hayes meeting with city officials. Envelopes on the table, thick with cash. William pointed at the screen. They called it the program, he said quietly. Started back in 2005. Keep the market district scared. Keep the money flowing. 20 years of systemic racism. 20 years of extortion. And it was all there, documented, undeniable, preserved by a janitor everyone ignored. Amy exhaled shakily. We have them all. But through the glass, Hayes was still on his phone, whispering into it, his face tight with panic. Sarah could read his lips. Asterisk code red. Burn it all, asterisk. His last card to play. Marcus, Sarah said, eyes narrowing, keep every backup off-site. We're not losing a single file. In the IT room, Marcus's fingers flew across the keyboard. Already done, Chief. Then he froze. Wait, that camera in the lobby, the one from the first day. What about it? It's not one of our old models, Marcus said, leaning closer to the feed. Maintenance installed it last month. It's the new version, with audio recording. Sarah blinked. Audio? Marcus grinned. Oh yeah. High definition, full-range microphone. Torres never knew. The air in the room crackled with energy. Amy grabbed Sarah's arm. Can we pull the audio? Sarah already knew the answer from Marcus's expression. Already working on it, he said, his screen filling with colorful waveforms. Hidden mic inside the casing. Picks up everything within 20 feet. The first file loaded. Hayes's voice filled the speakers, clear as day, full of arrogance. The new chief is some black woman, Hayes said, chuckling. Fresh from the academy. She'll be easy to handle. Torres's laugh followed. A diversity hire. Probably can't even read the duty roster. Keep doing what you're doing, Hayes replied. In fact, increase the fees by 50%. She won't last a month. Sarah's jaw tightened. Amy's fists clenched. Marcus played the next clip. A conversation from the week before. That vendor from Chen's grocery tried to complain, Torres said. I set her straight. Good, Hayes replied. Can't have them getting ideas. What about the others? All paid up. Johnson's fish was short, but I convinced him to find the money. How? Hayes asked. Told him his daughter walks to school alone. The room erupted. Even the most loyal officers looked sick. Marcus kept clicking. Clip after clip, each one darker than the last. Their crimes, their laughter, their cruelty, all immortalized on tape. Here's yesterday, Marcus said quietly. The speakers played Hayes's panicked voice. A black woman? Are you kidding me? Maybe she's dirty too. No, Torres said. I checked. Sarah Johnson's clean. Military background. Perfect record. We're screwed, Hayes muttered. So what do we do? Make her first day hell, Torres said. Break her. If she quits, problem solved. Every word hit like a hammer. Their entire conspiracy laid bare in their own voices. Marcus leaned back in his chair. Chief, he said, there's one last file. From an hour ago. Hayes again, speaking fast. Code red means burn everything, files, hard drives. Meet at the warehouse on 5th. Bring the emergency cash. Marcus enhanced the audio. A second voice joined, unmistakable. Sarah's stomach dropped. Councilman Richards. 20 years down the drain because of some black woman, Richards snarled. Should have killed her when we had the chance. The room fell into stunned silence. The corruption reached all the way to City Hall. Through the glass office window, they saw Hayes stand. His hand trembled on the door handle. Sarah turned to her team, faces exhausted but fierce, eyes burning with purpose. He's going to run, Amy said quietly. No, Sarah replied, lifting a small recorder from the table. He's going to confess. She walked to his door. The moment Hayes opened it, he froze, eyes locked on the device in her hand. Director Hayes, she said loud enough for the entire floor to hear, would you like to make a statement? Her words echoed through the intercom. All personnel to the main hall. Mandatory assembly, now. Within minutes, the lobby filled. 50 officers crowded the space, some anxious, some defiant. Torres sat in the front row, handcuffed, head bowed. Hayes leaned against the wall, trying to look composed but failing miserably. Sarah stepped to the podium. Behind her, a projector flickered to life. 72 hours ago, she began, Officer Torres assaulted me. She touched her cheek where the slap had landed. That moment opened the door to 20 years of corruption. The first slide filled the screen, faces of market vendors, Chen, Martinez, Washington. Real people. Real families, she said. These citizens paid over $10 million in illegal fees. Extortion. Bribery. Organized crime, wearing badges. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Officers who'd once laughed now lowered their heads in shame. Then came the audio. Hayes's voice filled the hall. Asterisk, the new chief is some black woman. She'll be easy to handle. Asterisk. Then Torres's voice, asterisk, told him his daughter walks to school alone. Asterisk. Young officers covered their mouths. Veterans turned away. Sarah's next words hit like a verdict. Officer Michael Torres, she read from a document, 37 counts of assault. 200 counts of extortion. Conspiracy to commit racial violence. This is insane. Hayes exploded. 20 years I've kept order. You can't just. Sarah didn't even glance at him. Director Robert Hayes, she continued, charged with corruption, racketeering, theft of public funds, and threatening witnesses. Hayes pushed off the wall. You have no authority. This is my department. I built this place. You poisoned this place, Sarah shot back. Her voice could have cut steel. Officer Parker, she ordered calmly, arrest them both. Amy stepped forward with handcuffs, but before she could reach them, 5 senior officers blocked her path. Sergeant Mills, a 25-year veteran, stood at their head. Nobody's arresting anybody, he said. The room went still. Hands hovered near weapons. The air felt like static before lightning. Stand down, Sergeant, Sarah commanded. You stand down, Mills barked. You think you can just walk in here and tear everything apart? We each lose $500 a month if this system collapses. That's college tuition. Mortgages. Medical bills. The others behind him nodded. Officer Bryant spoke up, voice shaking. My wife has cancer. That extra money pays for her treatments. Dirty money, Sarah said coldly. Easy for you to say, Mills snapped. You don't have 3 kids. You don't live paycheck to paycheck. The room split in half, the old guard against the new. Sarah stepped out from behind the podium, facing them head-on. I understand you're scared, she said quietly. Change is terrifying. But look at those faces. She pointed to the projected images of the vendors. Those are the people you swore to protect. They're not my people, Mills growled. Then you're not my officer, Sarah said firmly. Everyone standing with Sergeant Mills has 10 seconds to reconsider. After that, you're accessories to federal crimes. Nobody moved. The countdown began, silent, invisible, inside everyone's mind. At second 8, Officer Bryant stepped back. My wife wouldn't want this, he whispered. Not blood money. At second 9, 2 more officers retreated. Mills was left with only one supporter, his face purple with rage. You're destroying good cops' lives, he shouted. No, came a voice from the back, young Officer Jackson, standing tall. They destroyed their own lives when they chose money over honor. One by one, younger officers rose from their seats, until 40 of them stood against Mills and his last ally. Sergeant Mills, Sarah said, her tone final. You're under arrest for conspiracy. Mills's hand twitched toward his weapon. Every officer tensed. One wrong move, Sarah warned, and this hall turns into a battlefield. He froze halfway through the motion. The tension stretched like wire ready to snap. Then Amy Parker stepped forward, trembling but resolute. I've been silent too long, she said. Today I stand straight. She raised her phone high. 2 years of evidence, videos, photos, every crime I witnessed and was too afraid to report. The projector came alive again, Torres taking bribes, Hayes counting money, Mills threatening a vendor. The truth was now undeniable. Amy's confession shattered the last wall of silence. I was afraid, she said through tears. Afraid of losing my job. Afraid of being next. But fear made me complicit. Her honesty spread like fire. Officer Rodriguez stepped forward. I saw the ghost shifts, and said nothing. Officer Washington joined him. I knew about the beatings. I looked away. One by one, 10 officers confessed. Not the guilty ones, but those who'd stayed quiet. Each admission chipped away at decades of corruption. Mills's last supporter stepped back, shaking his head. My kids deserve a better father than this. Mills stood alone now. His hand dropped from his gun. The fight drained from him like air from a punctured tire. Sergeant Mills, Sarah said, your weapon. He unholstered it slowly, placing it on the ground. The metallic click echoed through the hall like a coffin closing. Sarah scanned the room. 40 officers remained. Some crying, others hollow-eyed, all forever changed. This department dies today, she declared. What rises tomorrow depends on all of you. She held up a document. Effective immediately, all overtime requires video documentation. Every citizen complaint goes to an independent review board. Body cameras stay on, no exceptions. Hayes laughed bitterly through his handcuffs. You think rules on paper will change anything? The system's older than you. That's why, Sarah said, stepping closer, we're changing the people, not just the policies. She turned to Amy. Officer Parker, front and center. Amy hesitated, eyes wide. Sarah pulled out a badge. I need an assistant director of internal affairs. Someone who's seen the darkness and still chose the light. Amy's hand shook as she accepted it. I don't deserve. You earned this, Sarah interrupted softly. The day you hit record instead of delete. Tears streamed down Amy's face as Sarah pinned the badge to her uniform. Your first assignment, Sarah continued. A 24/7 anonymous tip line. Multiple languages. Accessible to everyone. Applause erupted. Younger officers cheered. Even a few of the old guard clapped, slow but sincere. Furthermore, Sarah added, monthly community meetings. Every officer faces the people they serve. No more hiding behind badges. Transparency isn't a slogan, it's a practice. What about us? Asked an older officer. The ones who stayed silent? You get one chance, Sarah said. Full confession. Full cooperation. Help rebuild, or join your colleagues in custody. 20 hands rose instantly. Sarah returned to the podium. The badge means service, not supremacy. Protection, not profit. If you can't accept that, leave now. No one moved. The old regime was gone. Torres, Hayes, and Mills would face justice. The rest would rebuild. Chief, Amy said, her new badge gleaming, what about the victims? The vendors Torres terrorized? Full restitution, Sarah replied. Every dollar returned, plus interest, and every officer who took or watched will apologize in person. A wave of murmurs swept the hall. Some faces reflected guilt, others relief. One last thing, Sarah said, looking straight into the security camera still recording. This badge, this authority, they're not ours. They belong to the community. We just borrow them. And loans can be recalled. Her gaze was steady. To everyone watching, your police department is under new management. A month later, sunlight streamed through the once dark station. The air felt lighter. Mrs. Chin from the grocery store stood in the lobby holding a box of oranges. Her hands trembled, but not from fear. Chief Johnson, she asked timidly. Sarah rose with a smile. Mrs. Chin, come in. The elderly woman set down the oranges, then suddenly embraced her. My daughter, she whispered, says she wants to be a police officer like you. Sarah blinked back tears. Tell her the door is open now. She's scared, Mrs. Chin admitted. Says police don't want Chinese girls. Not anymore, Sarah said warmly, handing her a flyer. Youth Cadet program starts next week. Bring her personally. Down the hall, Amy led her first internal affairs meeting, 6 new officers, notebooks open. Transparency isn't paperwork, she told them. It's daily practice. Officer Jackson raised a hand. And if senior officers push back? Then you call me, Amy said. Day or night. The silence ends now. The department had transformed. Posters of aggression were gone, replaced with photos of community. Officers smiled at civilians. Fear had lifted like morning fog. At the market, vendors sold freely again. Officer Washington helped a child retrieve her ball from behind a fence. No badge, no power trip, just kindness. Sarah visited often, not as enforcement, but as neighbor. She bought fish from Mr. Washington, fruit from Mrs. Martinez, flowers from the Kims. My customers aren't afraid anymore, Mr. Washington said, smiling. They stay, they talk, they live. Change came slowly, but it came. 30 young recruits from minority communities joined the cadet program. Kids who once feared the badge now wore it with pride. Amy's new hotline buzzed constantly, not with crimes, but with hope, streetlights out, missing pets, neighbors helping neighbors. And one afternoon, Sarah stood in the same spot where Torres had once slapped her. The same lobby, but now filled with sunlight, laughter, community. She touched the badge on her chest, feeling its weight differently now. Not power, responsibility. She looked straight into the camera that had captured everything. 3 months ago, a man hit me because of my skin color, she said softly. He thought fear was power. He was wrong. Her voice carried through the lobby. Officers and civilians stopped to listen. Justice doesn't appear on its own. It happens when ordinary people do extraordinary things. See injustice? Record it. Every phone is a weapon against corruption. Amy stepped forward, holding a flyer. Call our hotline. 1-800-JUSTICE. 24/7. Any language. Sarah smiled at the camera. You are the justice system, not us. You. She thought of Mrs. Chen's daughter. Of Amy, of Marcus, of every officer who chose courage. Share this story, she said. Not because it's rare, but because it shouldn't be. The lobby grew silent. Sarah placed her hand on the badge one last time. This spot used to be where hope died, she said quietly. Amy stood beside her. Now it's where justice lives. And for the first time, everyone believed it.